Greetings wherever you may be at this time, at this never-ending now moment in the vastness of the galaxy and space. I'm Rocken Locken with Pleiadian Express Productions. You're listening to Pleiadian Talk. Today on the show, I have a young man by the name of Tyler Biedebach, 23 years old. He's from California, lives in Tennessee. Tyler, I had the pleasure of talking to for the first time about a week and a half ago on the Cosmic Awakening show that myself and Michelle Walling hosted. Fabulous caller. He called back this last Thursday, I guess it would have been last night, with Julian Wells as our guest. And again, great caller. So I wanted to have him on to just kind of talk about his experiences and have him share that with the group and just get a feel for where he's coming from. Tyler, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me, Larry. Great to be here, my friend.
Great, great. Like I was mentioning before, you know, your calls were just awesome. Probably the top two best calls we've had, and they've all been great. Just very insightful so far, and hopefully we'll continue to hear from you each week. I know Michelle's real impressed with you and really likes having you on, and I was telling her privately that, you know, you're a classic caller instantly, and, you know, she agreed. So why don't you just give us a little bit about your background, man, as far as this, you know, group-related information goes and your cosmic awakening, I guess I'll steal that phrase.
Yeah, absolutely. The first time I had really called in, I had been kind of going through this transition period of about 5 to 6 months. I'd been working for some really great corporations. I'd been doing door-to-door sales, so I had a lot of experience talking with people and interacting with people on a day-to-day basis. Living out in Virginia, lived in South Carolina, was doing that. Lived up in Wisconsin for a short time, in North Carolina, traveling to all these places. So my spirit guides have really taken me around the country in a lot of senses, as far as rooting a lot of the light energy that we're all capable of transmuting through our bodies. And the Cosmic Awakening show that I first called into was about hemp, cannabis, and all things related to that topic. And it was really, really inspiring and really jolting, the amount of information that is really suppressed about marijuana, and how a lot of people do know the medicinal benefits of that, and how that is really oppressed. And even beyond the medicinal purposes, hemp is a great biofuel. It's, you know, you look at Henry Ford and a lot of his early work, and he's got a car made completely out of hemp material, and a car that came from the earth. And I just remember sitting there with my girlfriend, listening to these conversations about different topics. And it was actually funny. That was who was just calling me. It was my girlfriend. Interesting synchronicity there.
Yeah, what? Synchronicity, baby. Yeah.
Yeah. And but yeah, the Henry Ford car. I remember Michelle had just opened up with that, and I mean, she was kind of going through all this information about this car that was actually constructed from him. I remember thinking, like, damn, like, there is so much good that can come from this. Why? And, you know, a phrase that Michelle likes to use a lot, which I like to give her credit for, is question everything. And, you know, it just makes you think, like, why is this kind of information suppressed? Like, why is why are these things not available to the public? And my journey, and it kind of, this reminds me of, like, my initial start into my awakening process, which started with a book, and had to do with Love is the Infinite Truth, Everything Else is Illusion by David Icke. And he really dives in deep to a lot of different topics, as far as the Illuminati and the Matrix, as far as our 5 sensory perceptions, and using our intuition beyond, you know, our 6th and 7th senses to sense and to feel things before we actually feel them. So it was almost like, as far as a book goes, and I'm sure some of the listeners can relate to this, but when a book, you feel like the author kind of grabs you and shakes you,
Yes.
um,
Yeah, really. His
and
books do the same for
it was
me.
really
Yeah.
powerful.
You know, it's funny you mentioned David. It was brought up in or I brought it up in the group earlier because people were talking about another subject, and we were talking about, just take the information from it. Don't get hung up on the person. Some people will probably say, well, I can hear it now. David Icke's part of the Illuminati. He's a plant. You know what? That's really neither here nor there. I like his information, and if he told me to jump off a bridge, I wouldn't do that. And I've been listening to him for years and like his books and what he has to say, and I can decide for myself. And anything's a possibility. I wouldn't be shocked. Whatever. I mean, everything is agenda based, and so you're right. Anyway, getting off. I regress a little bit here, but yeah, I agree with you on David Icke totally.
Yeah, the book had been given to me by a lovely young lady several years previous, and had just been sitting on my bookshelf. And it was almost like divine inspiration, which is basically, that little voice in your head that will tell you something that maybe you haven't thought about for years. And it was just like,
Yes.
read the book.
Yeah.
It
Oh
was
my
like, read
God.
the
Yeah.
book.
Oh yeah.
It was like I could see the book come into my vision, and sure enough, I went home and I started reading it, and I was just like, could not put it down. I was just like, this stuff makes sense. Like, and a lot of
Yeah.
those topics you want to base and get as much information as you possibly can, and then use your own power of discernment to make your
Right.
decisions, because ultimately you can't. Yeah, 'cause like what you were saying, if he told you to jump off a bridge, would you do it? Well, no. I mean, you want to get as much information as you possibly can on the entire scope of the topic
Yes.
before. And sure enough, that book started it, and I started doing research on the banking systems and big government and big. And
Mm,
just recently, it's my main interest has been big agriculture. A lot of
good for me.
Monsanto and the grocery manufacturer association. Those have been things that have been really popular in the news, with Vermont just um, approving the labeling of genetically modified products, and Monsanto basically trying to sue them in the attempt to say,
Yeah.
no, you don't have the right to know what's genetically modified and what's not. And
You
just
know this
recently, there are several
the
counties in Oregon that the
I
same
got
thing.
yeah, exactly. I gotta say too, though, and it's even bigger than people can even imagine because okay, so this lawsuit's going to go on maybe, and then so they do label them. I mean, it's even they're almost willing to concede that and have that go on, and then it's just a smokescreen for the shit that they're really. I mean, they're poisoning it worse and testing things on than people can imagine. You know what I mean? And if they have to eventually concede that okay, they're going to have to label a few of the chemicals that are in there, they'll do that, but they'll let this lawsuit play out. And it's just really scary when you really think about it. But as long as we're aware, we need to just spread the awareness.
Absolutely, I completely agree, Larry. And that's really what my awakening process has been. Is it's really just been a re-awareness, because I'm a firm believer in past life regressions and past
Yeah.
life therapy, and I believe that um,
Oh, for sure.
in a different dimension, we have already woken up. We've already, like, our future selves are now with us,
Yes.
assisting us in the
Many,
awakening process.
in many higher dimensions, I would think even. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. Yeah, the many higher dimensions of ourselves are, they're like, cheering us on, rooting us on, saying, "Hey, we've done this before. We're here to, help right the past life karma, and to work out future karma and present karma, so that you can release that and ultimately start your ascension process and continue this ascension process. We're right here with you." Um, so, and that was very reassuring, because a lot of the times I know a lot of people on their ascension journey will feel very alone and very, very
Mm,
separated from the other people, because as far, we do live in a dualistic third dimensional reality. And there was just recently a great article on In5D that was released on transcending the duality paradigm. Really great article by David Nova. that just kind of states that duality serves to divide us from our true selves and from each other. And then transcending this paradigm is the purpose of our ascension. It's just
Yeah, exactly. It's
I've always just
staggering.
resonated very. I don't know about you, Larry, but as far as understanding duality, I've always resonated where I've always tried to wanted to understand the the
Hmm.
male and the female, the
Oh,
night
big
and the day.
time. That line right there is probably why I wanted you to come on. When you were talking last night about that you've always resonated with the female, like that, the way you put that, I heard for the first time some other male put it exactly the way I feel. And it was really just riveting to hear you say that. And yes, I agree with you. I totally always have.
We are born, male and female with two arms, two legs, two eyes, two ears, and two nostrils. Even our brain is divided into hemispheres, left and right. Um, and
True.
a lot of the times, what government, what big government and what they introduce into the education society is based on separating us from our creative side and being much more analytical, being more driven
Hmm.
to work inside of a cubicle, working on the 9 to 5 grind, where you're. I'm reminded of the intro to the television show Weeds. Little boxes on a hillside, where
Oh,
everything
yeah,
just looks the same. Everyone drives the same
yeah,
car, everyone has the same kind of pet,
yeah,
everyone has the same white picket fence. They want you to be indoctrinated with this idea of what the norm should be, and
yeah.
it was really just trying to break away from
It's divide and
norm
conquer,
that.
man. Yeah, it's divide and conquer at its finest. And not only that, it's funny, that song you mentioned, I was just thinking of it about a week ago, and I had no idea it was actually the introduction song to Weeds. I'd heard it on the radio. My dad had some old radio station on, and I've heard it over the years. And yeah, it really, I think about it when I think about what you're talking about, just everything really controlled and plain and suburbia, boring to death. And yeah, it's just really crazy. And I totally agree with you 100% on that. And they divide us. It's divide and conquer at its finest. Their tactic, or what we've let them get away with, really, by unawareness.
Yeah, and that's exactly right. I'm reminded of even V for Vendetta, where he's making his address to the public, and he's talking about, look for the guilty. You need look no further than looking into the mirror. We are ultimately the ones who allowed ourselves to be taken control of, because we were in a lot of ways like sheep. We didn't have direction. We didn't have a plan set in
Um,
place.
and that's
And
no judgment
though
either. That's just how it was.
what's that?
I was just saying, and that's no judgment. That's just how it was, too. I mean,
Right,
exactly.
exactly. I've got infinite love for. I mean, I could just say love because I do believe that infinite love is just kind of facetious. Love truly is enough. I just have love
It
for
is.
for
That's
all
all
the
there is.
people of the world.
Yeah.
And really, it doesn't. They'll try to discriminate us on race, gender, religion. When it's like we're still all on this planet. We're on a rocket ship together, being
Yes, very
propelled
true.
through the universe, getting closer and closer to the cosmic sun. And we're in it for the long haul as humans. And when I say humans, I like to think of the sunshine before the dawn, where it's like HU hyphen man, which Hu is like the breath of God. It's like the initial spark that we were given, that he sent out into the universe to basically realize what experience is about. Because I mean, if you were an infinite, hypothetically, an infinite knowing, all-knowing being of creation, but didn't really have any frame of references to anything but your own, you would want to experience as much as possible, which is what we are fulfilling every single day, through our eyes, through our senses, through our intuition. We are basically recording all this information into our Akashic records.
Perfect, brilliant. That's just how I feel too, and I think that really says it all right there, because that's really what we're doing. And I just feel it. I know. Do I have anything to prove that with to somebody who's not going to want to listen anyway? No, but I feel it. I mean, all of what you say is big a reality to me as I've ever heard, to be honest.
It's because we're the same. You know, it's the illusion of separateness that really, and it's our ego and our id and our super ego that really gets in the way and steps in and says, no, just, you know, because you cannot see this person, you know, you believe that you are separate. It's an illusion. It's the illusionary matrix. We all, when you go inside your own head and you're having those internal thoughts, I like to think of it a lot of time as people being able to read my mind. So you want to make sure that you are having good, wholeful thoughts about that other individual when you're having conversation about them. Because I do believe in a lot of ways, even people who aren't awakened, their higher self or oversoul, I mean, whatever monad group they come from, they are very much telepathic. They very much hold keys that can see into your mind's eye, and in a lot of ways, it's very cool to think about. And this is just kind of a little fun thing, but to imagine when you are talking with someone, to imagine your oversoul is having that same conversation with that other person, and even more so on like a telepathic level where you don't even have to use words to communicate, but the two of you are together in communion, talking back and forth, having these very, very, very intelligent, lively conversations with between two oversouls.
Oh yeah, I can totally picture it. I mean, you have a higher soul and an oversoul, and you have, right, and even if they're not consciously aware of it, they're really in tune, or you know, that's coming through them. And so exactly, and I think that we are all possessing more and more of an intense version of that capability. I mean, it's almost happening by the day with all the synchronicity that's going on, and I mean, it's like almost par for the course now, those kind of things. The synchronicity, yeah.
And on the topic of synchronicities, and it was interesting, our call just last night, which was Thursday, the May 22nd, for people who may be listening to this at a later date, with Julian Wells. I mean, phenomenal stuff, folks. I mean, like, he really blew my mind, as far as him doing what I would call cold readings, where people would just call in and he would ask them to do little things like picture a triangle, and he would ask what color the person saw the triangle, and then boom, pick it up right away and just be like, all right, I can see. And then there was one lady who he asked to do a scissoring motion with her pointer finger and her middle finger. And it's just bizarre, but it's like that's how he gets in tune with those things. And I was just blown away, because these people, you could hear it in their voice. They were like, oh my gosh, like, yes, like that's exactly what I'm going through. Like, what did he do for you, Larry? Do you remember?
He was so dead on. I mean, just the things he said about them being around me, and it wasn't even really the things he said. It was the emotion and the feeling in his voice and actions when he was telling me about this stuff, and the little, you know, what was going on. And you have a lot of people around you, not from the physical realm, but like, you know, I mean, basically that what I knew, the Pleiadians were basically all around me in various different forms. And he was about, if I could rate it on a 1 to 10 of accuracy, it was about a 15, if there's ever been such a thing. I mean, he was really great. And you just got the feeling, too, that if he, you know, I mean, say somebody called and he just couldn't get it or figure it out, I mean, he would have definitely told them that. And you know what I mean? These were the things that were coming to him about it. It wasn't like he was reaching or trying to box it in or trying to come up with something. You know what I mean? It really just was resonating.
Yeah.
Like
I've heard a lot of readings in that sense where the person will ask a couple very leading questions. And having done door-to-door sales, I know a lot about leading questions. You basically ask a question with the outcome in mind, and you're slowly kind of almost like a shepherd with his sheep. You're kind of leading them very much in the direction you want to go. But he did nothing of that sort. He would just
not even
ask them to visualize something, and then he'd be like, all right, this is what I'm getting. Like, what he did with Michelle was really amazing, where he talked about the tree, the fluorite, the laser-like device, and then there was a fourth thing. I'm trying to remember what it was. There's one other thing, and then he related it all to her.
Yeah, oh man. No, but she asked me on the show. I was in the chat room typing for a second, and she said, and then I heard, and Larry, what was the fourth thing? And thankfully, Julian chimed right in with remembering it. I'm trying to remember what it was now. Oh, she's going to kill me.
I may have even written it down somewhere. But I mean, Julian is just, and I always just, that was one of the first things I wanted to give him praise for, because I know that when he came into this world, when he was doing his life review before he reincarnated back into the Julian Wells that we know and had the pleasure of talking to, they were like, at this point in time, you're going to have this special ability to reach out and, you know, talk to people and have this sense of clairvoyance. That's really when it's going to be activated. And Julian had mentioned the website that he had gone to, or the training that he had gone through, which is avatarenergymaster.com,
Right.
where he's talking about Michael Monk and live
Michael Monk,
interviews,
exactly.
all the amazing stuff. And just one story he had shared where I guess it was Michael who had built this copper wire blanket, and I just thought it was just a copper wire blanket. And then they would place these large, like huge crystals on top of this blanket. Like he said, some of them weighed as close to 100 pounds. And then they would actually like lay underneath this blanket, and he just like, he could feel it instantly. He was just like, my vision became active like right away. Like I could feel the energy surging through my body. And I was just like, man, that's definitely something that I would be interested in doing. Because, I mean, shoot, if you can lay underneath a blanket and have your psychic vision activated, shit, sign me up, you know?
Yeah, exactly. Fucking A, put me in for it. And you could tell, you know, when he talks to, and that's why I wanted to have him on the show, because I've heard a lot of his other broadcasts and his guest spots on shows, and he really resonates with me a lot. And especially, like, the way he described his communication with the Pleiadians. It's a lot like mine. He doesn't channel. It's just kind of an inner, all telepathic knowing. Well, you know, the way he described it, it just really hit home with me. And, you know, and the things that he does talk about, his experiences, you know, they're obviously real. And for one, and two, you couldn't make something like that up, man.
Absolutely. I completely agree. Yeah, the way that he did describe it was how it's not things that he wants to be able to tune into the more visual side, but it's actually when he closes his eyes, he sees very distinct faces and like people he can actually remember, like in very distinct differences between a grown man or woman and a child energy that's coming through him. And he's able to see all these with his mind's eye. Just really amazing stuff.
Oh, yeah, I agree. It's probably because he grew up in Canada and his pineal gland has not been calcified. No, but yeah, really, just his vision is just, you know, he talked a lot about some of the things that I think of and stuff, but he just expanded upon them, like, and made it click for me in a whole new way on, you know, every level.
It was amazing. He pulled the beer thought out of your head. He reminded you of that.
Yeah, that was really phenomenal too. I was trying to figure out a way to describe that, but that's true. He really did, and that was really mind-blowing in itself. And the rest of it was just, you know, I mean, yeah, you just, when you resonate with somebody and what they say to you, it's not like, oh, okay, well, like, again, if Julian told me to go jump off a bridge, I'm not going to do that. But you know what I mean? You feel, you know, real when you know, when you know, when you feel real, you know it, you know? When you feel realness and love.
You and Michelle have a very in sync way of telling when you can notice when each other in sync. I think for Michelle, it's either like the left or right side of her body. She'll get tingles all up the side of her body, and it's like at that same time, like you're getting like the chills running up, or you know, when people feel things within their heart chakra, because I mean that's really what the whole Ascension is about. I feel is that it's really getting out of our heart, or getting out of our head and moving into our heart, and being able to listen to that voice that lives within, because our brain is a very powerful, very intelligent machine, but again, the ego is attached to the brain. So a lot of it is getting out of the brain and moving into our heart, and our heart is even more so, I would think, even 100,000 times more intelligent and more sensitive to information that we receive on a day-to-day basis.
Oh, more so than our brain, big time. Hence the word machine, calling the brain a machine. It's almost, it's almost kind of like that, really, because the heart is really all-knowing, pure consciousness flow. It's not mind chatter. It's not ego. It's not judgment. And so you brought up a really good point there. That's a good way to look at it. I mean, it sounds good to me anyway. It sounds good to me.
Right.
Yeah, hey.
Well, thank you, because that's, a lot of it is just a lot of times when we're having thoughts of ascension and getting out of our head into our heart, we do spend a lot of times being or I feel I spend a lot of time being spiritually introverted, where I kind of lock myself in my room, and and it just kind of goes back to the information that is put out in the media that is meant to deceive us or to make us believe things in a different way, where you'll see someone supposedly extroverted around a group of friends. It's like, I'm sorry, but the real world doesn't really work that way. It's an illusion that they want us to believe that, oh, we have to be outgoing and social all the time, and we need to go out every Friday night and get drunk with our friends at the local bar, and who knows, maybe do some crazy drugs that are called ecstasy and this, and you need to do all this and listen to loud crazy music and be surrounded by strobing lights. It's like, I'm sorry, yeah, I've done those things before, and I've been a part of that.
Been there,
but
done that. It's
yeah,
like
exactly. Been there, done that. But as human beings, we don't spend the majority of our time doing that. We spend the majority of our time alone
we
with
do.
our own thoughts.
That's a good point. We do, the overwhelming majority of the time. And I think less and less people are even doing what you're saying too at the clubs, because, well, people are waking in a little more. Plus, I think too, the economy in America sucks. I don't know about our friends in Europe, but you know what I mean. So, but the reality of it is, even at that, you're still in your own zone. Excuse me, you're still in your own zone most of the time.
Yeah, I mean, the government, the media, they're not going to give up easily. It's not going to happen.
No.
I still think that we have a government fight on our hands, an economic fight, and they're not going to give up easily in terms of their own agendas. They're going to continue to take away more of our rights and our freedoms, but I mean, we're the ones who really have to take hold of ourselves and stop our codependency on all these systems. I don't know. Would you agree with that, Larry?
I totally agree. We determine how long this thing is going to take to shift the tide completely, or to at least be looking completely in that direction. We are kind of in a window right now after 2012. It's up to us. It could be real soon, or this thing, realistically too, the way things go. I mean, we're probably looking into the late 20s like they have projected out, or at least the later part of this decade. I mean, this isn't going to happen overnight, but it's happening overnight. But there's still there's some rocky roads ahead, and I'm not painting a doom and gloom future. I don't think we'll see a nuclear exchange. In fact, I know not. But we're going to have some rocky times on our hands, and where it's going to require us to really be together as one, and just look out for each other a little bit more. You know what I mean?
I completely agree. We do, and that's that what you just said there totally reminded me of the leader of the Venus Project. His name is, I believe I may have to look it up here, but Jacques. But it's the Venus Project. For those folks who don't know, I'd highly recommend you check it out. But it's actually based in Venus, Florida, and the creator has created these new, postmodern buildings, and it's basically an economy-based, or not economy-based. We currently live in an economy-based society. But he has this idea of a resource-based economy. A resource-based economy. Just kind of let that sink in for a second. So basically, what that would mean is that you have to have resources, obviously, that you can share, and you have to have a means to get those resources to people. So he has these amazing transportation systems, but his whole stick is that we use the amazing technological advances we have because we do possess some some degree of technological advancement, as far as, compared to the Dark Ages, or compared to where we were 100 or even 50 years ago. I mean, with the iPhone and different things of that nature,
Well, it's still, you have
tablets,
no clue with that. It's still,
smartphones.
right, and that's just the beginning. They have stuff that they've kept from us that's, who knows, thousands of years in the future, maybe at least 50 to 100, but the technology's there for free energy. It's been forever for free travel. I really think they even have interdimensional travel to a point in teleportation.
Oh,
So
totally.
it's all there. Yeah, and the resources are there to feed everybody and for water, and yeah. So it sounds like something I'll have to check out as well.
Yeah, he has a really great idea, about nationalism, in the sense of people, waving their flag, or where they're from. And I mean, really, that's still, I mean, people who are, quote, patriotic, are really just still under the illusion of separation. But he has a very interesting saying that goes, if all people were to pledge allegiance to the earth and all the people on it, we would live in a much, much better society overall.
Yeah, instantly.
Because I mean, she's our mama, Mother Gaia. She's the one who's been here for tens upon hundreds of thousands of, billions of years.
Billions
I
of
believe,
years.
I believe that the Pleiadians have been checking on us. I believe I heard it from the talk last night, around 79,000 years. They've been checking on us and making sure that we're not gonna blow ourselves up. And really, I have firm belief that if they had not, um, and this kind of relates to Dolores Cannon as far as sending volunteers, but if they had not, come down to
Yes.
Earth and, seeded their DNA into the human population, we would have ultimately blown ourselves up
Terribly.
probably by now. But the fact that
Oh
we are
yeah, big
blessed with
time.
another day of life, every morning when
Mhm.
you wake up, it truly is a blessing, because it is an opportunity for growth and for understanding new self love, and getting more in tune with yourself and nature.
And exactly. And for those who don't know, what he's speaking of is after, towards the end of World War II, when the two nuclear bombs were dropped by guess who on Hiroshima and Nagasaki, it sent reverberations throughout the entire galaxy. And, the Pleiadians and other star nations as well figured they better get down here and find out what was going on. They couldn't break the free will agreement, so they had to basically, they came up with a boardroom cosmic plan to incarnate in here. And I really do believe we would have made it. We wouldn't have made it a decade within 2000 at most without blowing ourselves up without that intervention. Probably not even through the, God, I don't know. We might not even made it through the 70s without it, or 60s. Who knows? Without having some kind of a really terrible nuclear exchange.
Thank goodness they seeded. Um, and and
Yes.
and to kind of piggyback off what you were saying, Larry, as far as like the universal law of, um, I'm trying to think what it is. It's the universal law of free will, and this is
Well,
actually quoted from, in 5D. The law of free will operates in three ways. One, although many of the major events in your life are astrologically predestined, you always have free will to mitigate the impact of the event or to transcend it entirely. This will result from how you live your life up to the situation you have destined for yourself to experience. If you give grace and mercy to others, are positive, loving, compassionate, and demonstrate by your actions that you have learned past lessons, you can minimize disharmonious experiences. Two, as you obtain Master of Life awareness and develop conscious detachment, you will be far less affected by worldly events than in the past. A Master of Life enjoys all the warmth and joy that life has to offer, but detaches from the negativity by allowing it to flow through him without affecting him. And three, you always have free will in how you respond to any situation. If you respond with positive emotions, compassion, and integrity, you've probably learned your karmic lessons, and you will not have to experience a similar situation in the future.
beautifully put. I couldn't agree more with everything you just said right there. It's so true. And it's one thing to know it, but it's one thing actually to feel it as well, and it really rings home with me.
Absolutely. I would highly recommend everyone check that out as far as the 20 actually. There's 20 universal laws, you know, ranging from the law of harmony to the law of grace to the law of the one to the law of conscious detachment. There's a law of gratitude and the law of attraction, as well as, which I think is one that a lot of people are aware of. Is the law of attraction. That's a big one that, you know, where your attention goes, energy flows. And I'm sure there's, you know, I actually, on N5D, there's about 100 quotes from that. But one article I read recently that reminds me of the law of attraction, and it really kind of put it into terms for me, because I've always wanted to have a really nice, there's a very particular car on the road. And you know, in the law of attraction, they say, you know, when you see the things, you know, you affirm to yourself, I can afford that, I can buy that, I can afford that, I can buy that. You're almost like a parrot. You're just repeating it to yourself.
Yeah.
And a lot of the times, those things, you know, they don't show up as far as ownership. And but that's, you know, the three-step process: ask, believe, and receive. And a lot of the times we won't actually receive those things. But one article that I read that really resonated with me was, a lot of the times your soul, your oversoul, really knows truly what you want. And
Yes.
again, you've already made arrangements before you incarnated into this body about the different experiences you'll have with different people. So a lot of the times when you're doing things like that, it took me a while to realize. I was like, when I'm saying that, and when I see that card on the road, I'm saying I can afford that and I can buy that, does it really resonate with me on a soul level?
Exactly.
And I came to figure out it doesn't. It doesn't resonate with me on a soul level. What resonates with me more is doing things that I'm passionate about, interacting with people, talking with people, being someone who can ground light energy into the earth. And sure enough, your attention goes where energy flows, and your oversoul knows truly what the intention of your thoughts is. You can't trick yourself into thinking like that, you know, you really want something that you don't.
No,
I guess
if you're
the point that I'm
really,
trying to make is that
yeah,
if you are loving, and then you draw in and experience love, and you can only attract those qualities you possess. So if you want a peace and harmony in your life, you have to become peaceful and harmonious.
you know, right, exactly. And you know, it reminds me of something this guy I used to listen to called the Reverend Ike. He was an African American minister in the 70s and 60s, and he would say that if you really, I'm just use this for an example, not for greedy reasons, but if you wanted $1 million, right? If you really, and that's what he meant, like you're saying, if your oversoul really knew that you needed that $1 million, and you would you would get full of that feeling of wanting it, and that's how that's true manifestation right there. You get full of that feeling when it's for the right reasons. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
You know, you're not going to manifest it just to have it for the hell of it, or I want that new car. But if you really truly could get full of that feeling, it would come right to you almost.
Absolutely.
But you really want that. You know, maybe your oversoul knows that's not what it's going to make you happy in, and there's a better plan for you, you know?
I love that, Larry. I love what you said right there, man.
Well, thank you.
Because it's about living in abundance.
It really is pure abundance. Yeah, exactly. Not greed, self-based, consumptuous. You know.
Yeah. I did just want to kind of touch on astrology a little bit, because that's always something that I feel as Pleiadian does. I don't know about you, Larry, but I definitely will find myself unknowingly just looking up at the sky sometimes when I'm just outside. All the time.
Too much. I had to cut back from a little bit. The neighbors thought I was really weird, but yeah, I'm drawn to, well, big time. I get a lot of my contacts from the sky, but yes, man, I mean, hours upon hours upon nights upon nights upon nights upon nights of hours, if that makes sense. I'm sure that resonates.
I'm with you.
Yeah.
And it's just a lot of times it's unconscious.
Wow. Exactly, it is too. Yeah, have you ever had anybody say anything to you about it, like that's with you or anything, or like, well, you know?
You know, my fiance will she'll when she'll come home from work, you know, I don't know exactly what she does, but she'll come into the house, and you know, when she realizes I'm not out there, she'll knowingly go to the backyard, and there I'll be just standing up, just standing out there barefooted, just looking up at the stars, and you know, she'll come up
Yeah.
behind me and wrap her arms around me, and I mean, it's just really, and it's like almost that kind of brings me back. I'm like, oh my gosh, I've been standing out here for 45 minutes just not doing anything, just
But if
looking
you're
up.
lucky, that's nice. That's nice she would do that and be loving instead of, well, instead of like not quite awakened and go, what the fuck are you doing? Oh, you're out here watching the sky again? Oh, you looking at those stars? You know what I mean? There's
Yeah.
people that would do that to you.
Well, yeah,
Family
and
members,
you want to exactly. We want to be able to surround ourselves with people who also have harmonious awakening relationships. So I really feel blessed in that regard, as far as being able to summon people and individuals and experiences that resonate on the same level that I'm at. Um, as far as you know, out pretty what would be conceived far out there ideas, but you know, I just think about how, you know, a couple hundred
you're
years
lucky
ago
being came
we
through. Yeah,
thought
you're lucky being came through.
the world was flat, and you know,
We
even
did.
after that we thought we were at the center of the universe. We were so sure we were at the center of the universe, and if you didn't
Oh,
believe we're
yeah.
at the center of the universe, you were crazy.
Oh,
And
you
you
need to
know,
be burned at the stake.
if you
And,
didn't think that there were other galaxies out there, oh my gosh, you're loony. Go to the loony bin. And it was proved wrong. You
or
know, it's like, who are we to say that there aren't, you know,
exactly, or to think there was
millions
people
upon
in
trillions
another.
of universe?
Yeah, well, like look at it this way too. In those days too, if you thought some of these countries, if you thought there was life anywhere else or anything even on Earth, you were crazy. You know, they thought they were the only ones till people started discovering civilizations. You know, it's like much less, yeah. And why wouldn't the same apply to this big, vast, endless area up there? I mean,
It does apply. I
yeah,
believe it's in direct correlation. I believe that, you know, I don't know. Again, we people always want to know, you know, time frames. I believe, and you know,
oh,
humans will go down in history as the silliest race because
drives
we're
me
trying to classify
crazy.
something that doesn't even exist.
Drives me crazy to hear timelines and or time dates. Really, it's mostly these dates and the smaller time frames. Yeah, I mean, it drives me absolutely crazy to hear because it's like, okay, well, I'm going to take the chance that this will be the one time I'm wrong, and I'd love to be wrong, but I doubt it. You know, it's going to come and pass like anything else, and you
One
know,
date
things
I
like
know
that.
you're excited about. I know you're excited about Michelle coming up to hang out with you on 4th of July, though. I know I would look forward to having the lovely
Yes, I
Michelle
am.
up there.
Totally, and also I'm looking forward to, well, you know, I won't hold him to his promise because he's a busy guy, but Julian driving down this far, he said, oh, you're just in Portland, that's a few hours away. I said, no, but I'm another 4 hours, 3.5, 4 hours south of Portland from there because he's up in Seattle. And the
Right.
Northwest is long, and it's a long ways between big cities here. It's not like back on the Eastern Seaboard where, I mean, you're within an hour of a ton of cities with, you know, several handfuls of cities with over 1 million people and tons and tons of cities with hundreds of thousands of people. I mean, we've got Eugene that's 2.5 hours from here. That's about a 250,000 people, but here it's about 60,000, you know, 30 to 60,000 in the whole county.
Right. There's
So,
a very interesting mantra that I wanted to share with you,
okay.
Larry, and
Yes.
this is from newparadigmastrology.com, and this is something that Greg Prescott from N5D had posted on his Facebook page, and this is from May 21st, 2014. This is the astrology forecast. But his mantra at the end, he always delivers a mantra, and it's you know, it's that
Mm-hmm.
sensation though that starts in your heart chakra and continues to spread throughout, you know, to your throat chakra, down to your solar plexus and your sacral chakra, until eventually it's just fully engulfing your whole body. And the mantra that he gave for this past 21st of May was, "Fear wants to know before I go what I'm headed for." But when one in heart, mind, and soul, I sail through open doors. One more
Beautiful.
time, that's fear wants to know before I go what I'm headed for. But when one in heart, mind, and soul, I sail through open doors. And what he related to that was when you are meditating and when you're in a meditative state, when you are one heart, mind, and soul, you just know. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about the imminent future or the now or the present. You are in that moment
Yes.
complete and
Yes.
whole and one with all things. You are oneness in realization of itself. And a lot of the times we're programmed to want to know what we're headed for through media, through television, through subliminal messages. We're programmed to want to know what we're headed for. And that's the whole sheep mentality that I believe that, we want to get away from and move towards being one with our heart, mind, and soul so that we can ultimately fully spread our sails and go into those uncharted planes, like how we thought we were, the only galaxy in this universe. We can sail through the open doors of, interdimensional travel and teleportation and psychic communication, and we can just fully sail through and embrace those experiences.
No, I agree, and you hit it on the head with the fear part of it, because we're programmed like that, and it's like we just gotta know, what's gonna go happen, but it's almost like it's a fearful thing too. It's almost like we're taught to be excitingly fearful about it, but yet kept in fear, and all our focus on that instead of realizing how expansive we really are. Yeah, Greg really is a great writer, and his show's going to be coming back here really soon too, and I know a true inspiration of mine, big time. And Michelle might know him a little bit. No, Michelle is Greg's fiance. Yeah, so talk about two enlightened souls that are just cosmically, it's mind blowing, both of them. And the two minds together.
Feeling those awakening vibrations.
Wow. Yeah, it's really an exciting thought. I mean, it's like, wow.
It is very exciting. It's a beautiful thing, and I believe that love and spirit are a word that when you're able to connect with your twin flame like that, it is meant to be beautiful, and it's meant to be natural, like like a shock or the atmosphere getting charged after a thunderstorm. It's like that same, even though it appears, and what's appeared like, people would get involved in arranged marriages, and it's like, it's really about having that true sense of connection. And I know that, Michelle and, we've all didn't work out for the better, but as long as you learn something from those relationships, you truly have the ability to grow and to learn from karma and to learn from your own experiences. But that love is truly something that's natural and is meant to be sought after. And I feel like so much of the daily manipulation that we'll receive through radio and different forms of media teaches us that no, it's not about love. It's about going to work from 9 to 5 and being able to afford a nice house and being able to have nice things and have a 500-inch TV screen.
And watch American Idol and Friends on one night, The Voice on the next night, Dancing with the Stars the next night, and just continue, the mind manipulation, keeping you in that zone, thinking about going to bed, then thinking about getting up to go to work. While you're at work, thinking about this, that, going home, what's on TV, what's for dinner, hurry up, go here, go there. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, it's like, how many shows are there really about true love? The only thing I can really think of is The Princess Bride. I don't know why that was the first thing that came to mind, but Wesley and Buttercup.
What's that? The Princess Bride?
This is true love. Do you think this happens every day? Gosh, I gotta say, man, that is absolutely one of my favorite movies of all time. As far as
movies, TV shows, there's not. I mean, TV shows that you see on TV. It wouldn't take me very long to count how many there are that you know, show true love and things like that.
You know, and it's really it's meant to be messy. We're not here to experience. We're not here to how can I put this? We're not here to experience full infinite love in the sense because we are love. We are infinite love. We're here to experience
Right.
messy love, happy love, sad
Yes, the
love,
head games, the
all
love,
the
those ups, downs, yeah. Yeah,
all the
why would we
different
be
shades.
here other exactly. I mean, if that weren't the case, there would be no point in it, you know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. So I would
I mean,
encourage
it's
everyone to look at it through the lens of love in a sense that it doesn't have to be perfect. It can be whatever it is, as long as you resonate with it in your heart and realize that your intentions are good, even when you have your girlfriend or boyfriend or spouse or boss or coworker treat you in a certain way. Just realize it's not about it's not about you. It's about how they're feeling, and that the best way to
yes.
diffuse that is to change your vibration and to rise above it and to just look at that person, maybe within your mind's eye and within your own head, just be like, you know what, I love you. I love you. I know
Exactly.
that things are bad right now, but I still love you. And you don't have to say it out loud.
Exactly.
I mean, shoot, that would probably freak out your boss if you just started saying, I
You're
love you,
thinking
I
it
love you,
though.
I love you.
And I exactly, and I try to tell people the same thing a lot. It's funny you mention that when they're having trouble with a coworker, a friend, or a boss, or somebody wherever, a partner. I just say you got to understand something. It wasn't about you. It was something inside of them that was bothering them as to why they're being the way they are towards you on a constant basis. Now, of course, there's exceptions. I mean, of course, if you do something stupid, whatever, but like on a continuous basis, when you have that kind of relationship with somebody, it's them. It's something wrong with them, and maybe it's just not a good fit to be around them. But even if it's somebody you're forced to be around, like a boss or a coworker, you know that it's a problem within them. And if the more love you send them, you'd be surprised how in time things will turn around in just a relationship like that with
Oh, almost
somebody.
instantaneously sometimes. Like if you
Yeah.
really are feeling that love within your heart chakra, sometimes they
Oh,
will flip on a dime. I've noticed
if
that a lot
yes,
where when you just kind
yes,
of
if it's
focus on your heart chakra and
totally.
intent to make your intention of thought to send that, like I'll have someone, who is just like, oh my God, I can't stand you. Like, and then like 5 minutes later, they're like, man, I'm just really upset. Like, this happened. My dog died.
Hmm.
Last we had to take Lassie behind the shed and shoot her this morning. I'm just kind of upset, man. I didn't mean it. I really appreciate you for all you do. And I'm just like, well, hey, man, I'm always here to be there for you.
Hmm. And it's rewarding to hear that on one hand. On the other, you're like thinking, well, gosh, maybe I should have thought of this a little bit sooner, that it could be something like that, really drastic going on. And at the same time, it's really nice to make that breakthrough with somebody. That's really an exciting feeling.
It's almost like a good breakthrough in like therapy. It's like you don't have to
Mm,
have a college
good
degree
point.
in psychoanalysis to be a therapist. You
No.
can do it on a day-to-day basis with people. You just have to be a love guru, to be a love therapist, and to use love as your
Exactly.
shield and as your weapon to
Yeah,
deter
and
people who are really stuck in their lower vibrational ways to shield yourself from those. And then the people who do kind of have that crack, and I relate it a lot to striking a tree with a stick or a sword. One stroke at the tree, it may not equate to much, but if you continue to work at it and you continue to hit it, sure enough, that tree will fall down.
yeah, oh, big time. Yeah, totally. I agree with you 100% on everything that you're saying too. It's just, and we're funny as human beings. We psychoanalyze ourselves, and we're our own worst enemy. And it's like it goes back to what you said earlier. If you want to blame somebody, look in the mirror. And we're not, trying to get on anybody or judgmental, but we all play a part in this. And our thoughts manifest our behavior, and that manifests our relationships, and so on and so on. And it just sets off a chain reaction in the universe.
Absolutely, and that's what 5D Earth is all about. Is that,
Yes.
consciousness yields thought, which yields manifestation. We're currently in a third dimensional vibration, which is consciousness yields thought, which yields action,
Mm,
which yields
true.
feelings, which yields, or maybe it's yields feelings, which yields
And
actions,
so
which
on and
yields
so on.
manifestation. Um,
Yeah, I have been
in
confused
fourth
already.
dimensional, I think I've read it's
It's
manifestation or
more,
consciousness
yeah,
yields thought, which yields feeling, which yields manifestation. And 5D Earth is about consciousness yields thought, which yields manifestation. So you think something and it happens. And a lot of
yes,
the ascension symptoms that people are getting, it's to prepare you for that. It's to prepare
yes,
you for the fact that, if you were stuck in your lower vibrational ways, and if you were to shift to 5D and you were to have a negative thought, I mean, some people would make their own hell. They would make their worst case scenario. So it's really meant to prepare us for creating the heaven on earth, or the Eden
great point.
that we all desire, and to co-create that future with
Mhm.
other people by having openness to other people's input and other people's diverse personalities.
Exactly, beautiful. And in 40 is kind of like a transition dimension because, like in 40, some of the subtle differences too are, we're more of a responsive instead of a reactive society. Okay, everybody may know everybody's business like now, but there's really no judgment, so it's not a big deal. It's little things like that, and we're being prepared with these symptoms for these feelings that we're going to feel in 5D. I honestly feel that way too, and thank you. I've never heard anybody break it down quite like that and really explain it like that, but it's so true. It's exactly what's going on, at least for me anyway, and obviously for you.
Yeah, and it's
That's
going on for
huge.
everybody. I mean, whether people realize it consciously or not, and that's a part of the awakening, and your awareness is that, whoa, it's like I'm not the only one experiencing this. Like, gosh, there are hundreds upon thousands upon tens of thousands of people who are going through this exact same stuff that I'm going through. It's like we are all in this together. We all are in this co-creative process where we're allowing our creativity to manifest the world that we desire.
Yeah, exactly. And that's kind of how the Pleiadians live life on their in their planetary system and in their star cluster is everything is manifested like that and technology is manifested. Things are manifested on a need basis for what they need. And that's just how it goes in that kind of environment. A pure loving vibration of all knowing and the sky, the universe is the limit with that kind of a mentality and approach to the existence.
I would like to kind of pick your brain a little bit, Larry, on how you see 5D Earth, because I
Sure,
mean, our talk with Julian
sure.
last night, I mean, it definitely
Mm,
got the juices flowing as far as creativity, because really it gets to be your heaven
yeah,
on earth. It gets to be your perfect society. So I guess, could you
it
maybe
is.
give
It
us like a
is.
snapshot or in a
Sure.
nutshell, like how you see 5D Earth with.
I see 5D Earth as kind of like a really extremely higher, lighter vibration of kind of how we live life now, but without all the minutia, without all the, everything's everybody's got an abundance of what they need to survive, whether it's water. I mean, you probably don't even need food so much anymore on a 5D level. What little food you may consume would be for pleasure or whatever, a gathering, but mainly it's energy from the source, from the light. And I picture a very vibrant society where flowers are of multicolored, luminous, iridescent, type things. Buildings are made out of material that is very friendly to the environment and the planet to which they're on. People go along and just love each other. Everybody's a leader, but everybody's a leader for the same collective. It's like almost total harmony, but yet there's still life to be led, you growing up and hanging out and but all these things you get to enjoy, like you may go through here on earth, but you don't have the downside to it and the head games and all that other stuff that really blocks us from being who we can be. You know, I kind of see it like that, and I just see it being a very beautiful place, and not some fairy tale either. I mean, well, what's a fairy tale? Anything you could think of is true. Just very bright and vibrant and loving, and no wonder people in societies like that, it's reported, live hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and into the thousands of years in that realm, even if they want to, because, I mean, yeah, it's just amazing. I just see it as this wondrous place, and, you know, not to say there might not be some issues here and there, but I don't imagine what it would be, not anything that would even be of any real relevance to what we're used to, what we have to deal with here as far as trouble. So, I don't know. I mean, that's kind of my thought on it anyway.
That's perfect for you, Larry, because
Yes, for me that would be.
I I completely agree as far as, I mean, on all counts. I believe and it's a co-creating environment. So it's like when you see these iridescent flowers and buildings that are friendly to the environment, you're able to go to that person and say, hey, wouldn't it be kind of cool if instead of the building rising up this way, you kind of had it coming out to an angle, and you can both kind of look at it and
Yeah.
you're like, yeah, that would be kind of cool.
Exactly,
So
and
then at
no
that
ego
point,
involved. Yes, yes, because once you knew it was right, there would be no ego to go. The one guy might go, oh, well, yeah, he's right, but no, it would just snap for you, and that's how it would work.
and then even after that, you would be able to add on to the little addition there. So you could say, okay, so I liked what he added, and now I want to kind of add this on top of that. I want to add this
Yes.
second story to right there, and oh, hey, friends, family, what do you guys think about this? And then they
Oh,
all add their
cool.
addition, and you take it in. You're like, yeah, those are great ideas. Let's do that. So it's a continually building society, and those are, I believe, some of the experiences that we'll have as far as co-creating the new Earth.
I'm already feeling it with people, especially in these groups, you know, and even some of my closer friends. I'm really already feeling that starting to happen too. And won't it be nice when everybody's on that same page? And that'll be harmony.
That that
Yeah.
that in and of itself will be harmony when people are
Yeah,
able to shed their ego and to be
exactly.
like, that is a great idea. Like, wow, like I
Yeah,
didn't think of that. That's great. Let's do that. And then be able to boom, manifest it right away.
exactly.
Just
That and the
beautiful.
love for their environment, those two things alone, that's enough. I mean, that right there, changing and people respecting and loving their planet they're on as their mother and their ship, those two things right there, what else, more else could you need? One of them in itself would make the other happen. But I mean, those two things
Right.
right there, I mean, what else is there? What else
Heaven
you
on
need,
earth,
man? I mean, what more do you want? What more do you want, brother? Yeah, because that's what it would be, though.
man.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, what
Exactly,
more could
man.
you?
Exactly. And what you were saying, just enough to, and maybe not even enough, because I mean we would live in such an abundance, but there would be so much abundance for everyone that there wouldn't
Mhm.
be that idea of greed or
That'd be
I'm
good.
not gonna, or lack, like I'm not gonna have enough. There's a stream of crystal clear spring water running through your
Yeah.
backyard, and plants grow in a thriving environment where they just grow in abundance, and the fruit is just, oh, exactly. I love what you said about food. It would be eaten more for pleasure than for sustenance, because yeah,
Yeah.
we would take in our energy a lot in the ways that plants do. Through sun, we would absorb the
Mm.
energy through the energies of the
Photosynthesis.
source, and really food would be, we would
Mm.
be able to eat, but only really to have that, the enjoying sensation of, oh man, that just tastes so
Yes.
good, like the flavors in that, oh, just delicious.
Yes, and more lighter foods and on a regular basis more liquidy, but you know sometimes maybe a little of substance like a delicious fruit or whatever. Yeah, it'd be something like that or something that can okay, I say genetically, something that a technology that could make a blueprint of any delicacy from past times, but at the same time not to where it's harmful or you know where it's
They
perfected to be made
assimilate
like
very easily and very
that.
naturally.
Yeah.
I follow.
Yes, perfect. Perfect. And that's, you know, and that's probably too, like I think too, how children are maybe even conceived in a situation like that. Okay, here, you got to be really careful with DNA, DNA manipulation and people having that technology, because you might get people like we have here on Earth breeding humans with lizards or breeding animals together. But when you have that kind of spiritual enlightenment, that might be even how people reproduce, is in their love DNA form. They manifest offspring. I don't know. It's just food for thought. I mean,
Yeah,
I could be wrong, but it sounds more
Greg,
logical than.
when Greg interviewed Dolores Cannon, who is a great author, she wrote, she's
Oh,
got tons of books out, The Convoluted Universe, um, The Three Waves of Volunteers in the New Earth, The Custodians, just to name a few. When he
that
was
woman
doing
needs
the
no
interview with her,
introduction.
he had asked about sex, and her response to how sex was going to
Mhm.
be on the New Earth is, of course, it's going to be better. You're going to be able to communicate telepathically with this person. And, it's just the overall sensation of connectedness and spiritual being with another. All those feelings will be elevated, all the good feelings will be elevated. And the complications of childbirth that some people unfortunately, experience currently on 3D Earth on a day-to-day basis, those will be completely eliminated. Um, because
Yes.
you'll basically be able to take the best parts of each partner and weave them together to create this beautiful new light being that has their own individual personality and individualism, but without the complications of oh, something could go wrong in childbirth. It's like everything just works out very perfectly.
No, I agree with you totally, and I love Dolores Cannon. I mean, she really, I mean, if you were to talk about 5 people that really had it figured out, she would have to be in that top 5, as
Oh,
far as
absolutely.
much as we can. Yeah, I mean, it's come to her through. She wasn't even trying to get that information out of people, trying to get people to quit smoking or whatever, lose weight, hypnotizing them that way in the 70s, late 60s, and then all of a sudden, after about 10,000 people had started telling her similar stories, she realized she was hearing from past lives. And then,
Right.
of course, we can talk about her another time, but that she, started digging and figuring out that, you could find out just about anything through that. Of course, discernment is always good too, I'm sure, but I mean, the lady knows what she's doing, let's face it. And
She does. Yeah, just one
exactly.
more touch on that. She works with in the deep levels of the somnambulistic state. So that's like the
Mm,
same state of mind that people who sleepwalk will get into. So she's not working on the light levels of trance that still allow your conscious to come through. She's working on
yes.
very deep levels of trance where these people she's able to get in direct contact with the person's oversoul or higher self. The super conscious is what she calls it, because your
Mm,
super conscious has all the answers that you need, and the answers will only be revealed um, in a manner that you can make sense of it in your own time. It's not going to give you more information than you can handle at that time. It's going to give you exactly what you need, which is kind of reminds me of what Julian Wells was doing last night. He's not, he's talking about, man, there's a lot of stuff coming in, but his guides or his soul teachers are just giving you the bits and pieces that you need in that moment to make sense of what
yes,
he's talking about.
exactly. And that's how it's done, in a loving, angelic way. It's really just at your pace and at what you've agreed to and what you need to not throw you off your growth path, really. And to do anything else would be an imposement on somebody's free will.
And we do not want that. We want people to be able
No.
to use their free will for their benefit and be comfortable expressing and exercising that right.
Mm,
Because really, you can only um, you can only allow in the things that you ultimately want, as far as information, your awareness. It's a lot of calling in your and that's actually a good point. When using your free will, you do have your guardian angels and your soul teachers, and you have different multidimensional beings around you. They are always around you. You just have to openly. Michelle talks about verbally speaking it out loud, that you let that person or let those dimensional beings in to help you and to assist you, because that's all that they want to do. They just want to they want you to want them to help. And they really, you have to give them permission. I do it internally a lot of times. I'll say it within my mind, like, you know, I call upon my higher dimensional selves and my soul guides and my soul teachers to assist me and to empower me and to aid me in this moment. So even just doing little things like that, you'll definitely feel an immediate difference once you actually use your free will in a way that's beneficial to you. Still there, Larry?
Yes, had a little bit of a technical difficulty now, and plus I was just thinking of what you were saying too. It's like people get scared and we're like, okay, well, how do I know if I can trust this entity? Well, you always have free will and you always have your own power, and that's the way that the angelic side works. They can't impose on your free will. You've got to want them to come into your life. They may drop hints for you, but you've really got to, you know, you've got to want them and give them that permission, and continuously as well, you know.
Absolutely. You have to invoke their help. You have to invoke, or sometimes, you know, even command their help, because, you know, a lot of the times when you're feeling very low, it is good to command your soul guides to come in and help you, because, you know, they've been there. A lot of your soul guides are merely elevated spirits that have lived the exact life you've lived, maybe in just a slightly different way. So they know what you're going through. They want you, they want you to ask them to help, because they've been there. They've experienced it, and they've been through many difficult situations, and they've survived them well. You just have to have that openness and that communication with them, that and trust and love that they're there to take care of you, and they're there to look after you.
Exactly. Just use your brain. You know, I say use your brain. Use your heart brain in every second that you're in, and use discernment. And you know, you have that free will to talk to them and to even put those boundaries there if you want, and they'll respect that. You know, because it's all about your growth and your comfort level when it's really needed. You know.
Mm. Yes. 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 That's exactly right. That's
I mean,
right.
they're not here to play head games with you. Come down and, you know, yeah, like somebody that ascended has nothing better to do than get together in a group. Well, let's go mess with Tyler in Tennessee. We're gonna really screw with him all
We're
the
gonna
time.
really mess with his day.
Yeah, forever. Eternally. Yeah, all of us
No,
together.
it's
Yeah, I
funny, we
mean,
can laugh about it, but some people really do. Like, some
you
people
can,
think like that. You know, they think that, oh,
Mhm.
there are these, you know, the world is conspiring against me. It's like, no, the world is conspiring for your good.
Yeah, and that's not to say don't be a complete fool and not notice anything, but at the same time, I mean, keep it in perspective, you know. I mean, at the same time, I wouldn't pick up a hitchhiker with a gun in the middle of the night driving down the road. You know, I mean, I would have a little bit of discretion, but at the same time, yeah, you've got to have that loving energy and intent yourself, you know, and love
And when
yourself
you're on
first.
that wavelength, go ahead, Larry.
Yeah, and love yourself first and foremost to make the right decision. No, yeah, go ahead, man.
Yeah, and when you're on that wavelength, a lot of the times, and this is something that really gives me comfort too, is the Illuminati, or, you know, the powers that were, because really they are on their way out. I don't care what anyone says.
I
They are
agree.
definitely, they're
I
losing their
agree.
grip on
Like,
humanity as far as controlling us. So I do consider them the powers that were. But they
yes,
function on a much lower vibrational level, and one
yes.
way to rise above that is to, when you are on a higher vibration and you are vibrating with thoughts of compassion, love, and unity, you become invisible to those beings. They cannot see you, because you're in a different. One good way is to think of
Mm,
it as like an envelope of sorts. They are on a much lower envelope, so when they open the envelope, those are the only vibrations they can see within that envelope. When you open the higher vibrational envelope, that's the only thing you're going to attract to you. Those are the only things that are going to be entering into your peripheral, into your awareness, is those higher vibrational energies.
into your life, period. And that just hit home with me more than, and you've said a lot of things today that have, but that is so true. It's almost like they almost become non-existent from your life anymore, even whether it was somebody you knew that was like that. And I think Dolores Cannon talked about that kind of thing too. It's like, yeah, they can't see you. You're almost invisible to them. It's weird. It's like, yeah, it's like us trying to look at somebody on a completely higher dimension. We may see shades of them, but we've really got to be tuned into that love frequency to be able to even go there.
Quick question, Larry. So, as far as interdimensional travel and how our fellow Pleiadians and Arcturians travel, there's definitely a speed beyond the speed of light, and this is just my opinion, but I really believe that the level that they move at is the speed of love, because I believe that love is something that can be sent and can be transported much, much faster than the speed of light, because it comes from the heart, and the heart is a much more processed, much more evolved organ of our body, and light is really perceived with our brain. So if you think about it, the speed of light is perceived with our brain because we can only see a very limited spectrum, but love is something that you can feel before someone even walks in the room. Like sometimes you almost know that someone's coming, and the inverse is also true. If someone's had a bad day, you can almost feel that energy before they even get home. So it's my belief really that the Pleiadians and the Arcturians and I think it's the Lyranians,
The Lyrans, yes.
They travel at a speed that is above the speed of sound, above the speed of light, and that is the speed of love.
That might be the biggest understatement I've ever heard in my life, too, because let me tell you, the speed of light compared to that, it would be like watching a turtle crawl compared to a supersonic jet go by. I mean, really, because that love is all, and the more we awaken to realize that, we will know that it's just instant, everything instant right now at once of all that is. The speed of light is nothing compared to the speed of love. I mean, not by any stretch of the human fathom, even, I think, anyway.
I do like your analogy though of the turtle with the supersonic jet, though. I do like that.
Yeah, it's the only thing 3D that I could come up with that would even try to do that justification, and it still doesn't even. That still don't even begin to tell it. That's how I feel. It's just all knowing and. Yeah, and everything, and wow, you said a lot of great things today, man, and I think we might want to go ahead and conclude for this broadcast here, because, in the fairness of time, not that time exists, but I just want people to really listen to this and soak in everything that you've had to say, and you've got a great voice and a great mind, and I'm very grateful for you coming on and speaking with us and speaking with me. It's been a real pleasure, of course, and I just wanted to know, is there any last few words that you want to say or share with anybody out there that you feel like you want to, convey?
Yeah, I would just encourage everyone to check out my Facebook page, the Southeast Conference of the Pleiades.
Yes.
The actual link is Pleiadians Southeast. It's still under maintenance right now, but that's a Facebook group. Check me out. Again, my name is Tyler Biedebach. Add me. I'm always there I'm usually posting things related to current events and things from In5D and the Cosmic Awakening show and Michelle's Cosmic Starseeds and the Pleiades. And I would just encourage everyone to hold love in your heart and to vibrate on those higher vibrations, Larry. And I appreciate you having me on, man. It's always a pleasure getting to talk with the Rocken Larry Locken, man.
Lock and load, always ready to go, sometimes more than others. But much love, everybody out there. Peace, namaste, much love and light. And that's a wrap. Thank you, Tyler, by the way.